Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Mr. Bad Paramahansa Pradikacharya Ashtotoda Shishimar Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pradikacharya Ashtotoda Shishimar Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Narayana Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. And before we proceed with our verse, Saham, long A, Saham. And just to call your attention, before we chant the verse, notice that second word, second line, first word. Vanchita, cheated, as opposed to vancha, long A. Prabhu, I'm talking to you. Vancha, vancha. Otherwise you're talking about some cheating trees. Narayana Namaskritya, Narang Chaiva Narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Dato Jayamudiriye. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord who is glorified in transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. What happened to my marker? That's a spare marker. When you need one, I'll give it to you. Otherwise, I won't have it. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 14th day of June 2017 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Canto 3, the status quo. Chapter 23, Devahuti's Lamentation. Text number 57, the final text in this chapter. Saham Bhagavato Nunam Vanchita Maya Yadridham Yatvam Vimuktidham Prapya Namamuksheya Bandhanat Saham Bhagavato Nunam Vanchita Maya Yadridham Yatvam Vimuktidham Prapya Namamuksheya Bandhanat Saham Bhagavato Nunam Vanchita Maya Yadridham Yatvam Vimuktidham Prapya Namamuksheya Bandhanat Saham Bhagavato Nunam Vanchita Maya Yadridham Yatvam Vimuktidham Prapya Namamuksheya Bandhanat Saham Bhagavato Nunam Vanchita Maya Yadridham Yatvam Vimuktidham Prapya Namamuksheya Bandhanat Saham Bhagavato Nunam Vanchita Maya Yadridham Yatvam Vimuktidham Prapya Namamuksheya Bandhanat. You can go down a couple of them. Saham Bhagavato Nunam Vanchita Maya Yadridham Yatvam Vimuktidham Prapya Namamuksheya Bandhanat. Sa, that very person. Aham, I am. Bhagavataha, of the Lord. Nunam, surely. Vanchita, cheated. Mayaya, by the illusory energy. Dridham, solidly. Yet, because. Tvam, you. Vimuktidam, who give liberation. Prapya, having attained. Namamuksheya, I have not sought liberation. Bandhanat, from material bondage. Hold on a second. There's a mistake here. I'm just going to mark it. Okay. Translation. So this is Devahuti speaking to Kardama Muni. And she calls him Lord with a small L. My Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. Purport. An intelligent man should utilize good opportunities. The first opportunity is the human form of life, and the second opportunity is to take birth in a suitable family where there is cultivation of spiritual knowledge. This is rarely obtained. The greatest opportunity is to have the association of a saintly person. Devahuti was conscious that she was born as the daughter of an emperor. She was sufficiently educated and cultured, and at last she got Kardama Muni, a saintly person and a great yogi, as her husband. Still, if she did not get liberation from the entanglement of material energy, then certainly she would be cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy. Actually, the illusory material energy is cheating everyone. People do not know what they are doing when they worship the material energy in the form of goddess Kali or Durga for material boons. They ask, Mother, give me great riches, give me a good wife, give me fame, give me victory. But such devotees of the goddess Maya or Durga do not know that they are being cheated by that goddess. Material achievement is actually no achievement, because as soon as one is illusioned by the material gifts, he becomes more and more entangled, and there is no question of liberation. One should be intelligent enough to know how to utilize material assets for the purpose of spiritual realization. That is called karma yoga or jnana yoga. Whatever we have, we should use as service to the Supreme Person. I think there should be in service. Whatever we have, we should use in service to the Supreme Person. It is advised in Bhagavad Gita, Swakarmanatam abhyarcha. One should try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by one's assets. There are many forms of service to the Supreme Lord, and anyone can render service unto him according to the best of his ability. Thus end the Bhaktivinoda purport of the 3rd canto, 23rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Devahuti's Lamentation. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So we've had quite a journey in this chapter. This is the chapter in which Kardama Muni created his wonderful flying city and took Devahuti on a tour of the universe to all of the most wonderful enjoying spots. And they enjoyed for many, many years. How did it happen? Well, she was all emaciated, hair tangled, her breasts were discolored. She was from just performing austerities along with Kardama Muni, serving him very faithfully. So after a long time of that, he looks at her and he's suddenly filled with compassion. And he realizes that he hasn't really been doing right by his wife in terms of marriage. So he creates this big palace, flying palace, but she looks at it and she's very depressed. He looks at her because she's still ugly. So then he tells her, just go bathe in the Bindu Sarovar here, this lake. So she goes into the lake, and here's where, this becomes so supernatural. She goes into the lake, but it doesn't seem to have trouble breathing underwater. There's all of these Gandharva girls under there. That's the word for the Bhagavatam. The Gandharva girls. And they bathe her, and they clean her, and they nourish her, they give her good food, and suddenly she comes out, and she's as effulgently beautiful as she was when he married her. And so now they're ready to go on their journey all over the universe, different places here and there. And it describes how they enjoyed in so many ways. Finally come back to the ashram, and they're still enjoying, and then he separates himself into 9, and they're having relations. And finally, the idea is, well, I need to have children. Okay, so now the 9 daughters come out. And Devahuti said, and he's ready to take sannyas. And she said, wait a minute. They're going to all go to their husbands, and I'm going to be alone here on the beach. And you haven't, really... And then she starts speaking totally transcendentally. In other words, then she's speaking classic surrender language and lamentation and prayer for enlightenment. And she has a verse here, can't get over this one. The last one was really great. You remember the translation? Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious performance do not raise him to renunciation, anyone situated in renunciation that doesn't lead him to the service of the Lord must be considered dead although breathing. So this is not the language of an attached wife, obviously. But the previous one echoes, I think I mentioned this before, but I can't help mentioning it again. Sango yak sangsmriter hetu asatsu vihitodiya saeva sadashukato niksangat vaya kalpate. This is practically the same verse that she then hears from Kapila Dev 2 chapters hence, the first of these, verse of the Sadhu Sangasata. Pasangamadaram pasham atmana kavayo vidu sahe sadasukato. Notice the line is exactly the same. Saeva sadasukato. Mokshadvaram abhavatam. So she said, here the translation is slightly different, but association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage. But the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge. So in this verse, the word sangha can mean both things, association or attachment. Attachment for the material is certainly the path of bondage, but the same attachment when directed toward a saintly person. And that's the more or less the same translation for the later verse. So she's very enlightened. But what she's praying for is that he will give her the son who will then enlighten her, because the son, we know, is going to be Kapila Dev. So that's setting up this next chapter that we're going to read, which is entitled Karma Muni's Renunciation, I believe, but Renunciation of Karma Muni, but it also talks about the appearance of Kapila Dev. That's what happens. So this is a very interesting purport. Prabhupada begins by saying an intelligent person should utilize good opportunities. And the first opportunity is the human form of life itself. This is a basic theme of preaching, because we've reached this human form of life, and it's the only loophole to get out of the round of birth and death. It is the only form of life in which we can understand these subject matters. But for the vast majority of people, they stay tightly bound to the animalistic consciousness of eating, sleeping, mating, defending, of material aggrandizement, of worshipping Kali. They may not perform Kali Puja, but they're worshipping the material energy. Worship, what is worship? You have to think about it. The essence of worship is that you pay attention, is that you're absorbed, and you're trying to get some boon from that thing. Now, when it's a person such as personified material nature in the form of Kali, there's all kinds of understandings of the personality there. You'll offer, a slain goat or something, something that you think she likes, right? in order to get the boons. But the material scientists can be complete atheists, and working with this material nature to try to suck out as much wealth as possible and control is just as much worship as Kali Puja. And it's just as illusory, because the boons that you get, and the reason why religion is on the wane really in places like America and Europe, where there's extreme opulence, is because people think they don't need it anymore. If religion is simply, remember this verse, the next verse, Dharma has to lead to bhakti or renunciation, right? So yeah, if Dharma doesn't lead to renunciation, and if renunciation doesn't lead to bhakti, then it's useless. You might as well be dead. So, but what is that? Just to bring that point out, I made at the end in the yesterday's class. The classic four arthas or goals of Vedic life: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. We should know those. This is like one of these: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And this is the ordinary thing of an ordinary pious person. They perform Dharma in order to prosper in this world. And why to prosper? To enjoy. So it's Dharma, Artha, Kama, Dharma, Artha, Kama. And when you find that in a demonic society like this, where it's all science and technology and what do we need religion for? So it just comes down to Artha and Kama. Artha and Kama. But Dharma is not meant for Artha. This is the beginning of the Bhagavatam. It's meant for liberation. And we know from the Bhagavatam that the only way to get real liberation is through bhakti. Now ultimately the bhakta gives up even the desire for liberation. This is clear. But it's a very good initial impetus. And that's why Srila Prabhupada, so often he quoted from Bhagavad Gita, and so much in the philosophy, plenty of places in the Bhagavatam, the miseries of this material world, the hopelessness of trying to exploit and enjoy this material world as a life program. You see what I'm saying? Can you pull those curtains for me? Thanks. Because it's foolishness. Krishna says in the 9th chapter, even if you do the Vedic program and you go to heaven, where the enjoyment is much longer, the life is much longer, everything is much better in terms of sense gratification, still ultimately you're just spending your pious credit, and you have to come back down here again. So the real goal of the soul, which is to escape the round of birth and death, you've simply wasted a lot of time. Material life, which is not directed toward transcendence, toward going on bhakti marg, to going back home, back to Godhead, it is this tragic waste of human life. This is what the great acharyas see, the great preachers see. That people are just, they've achieved this great boon of human life, and they're simply wasting it. You know, what is the, you know, the songs that we used to be so much part of it, we haven't been cultivating them. Jeev Jago, wake up, sleeping soul. You've achieved the human form of life. Lord Chaitanya has come, giving you the Hare Krishna mantra. Now take this gift. You know, it's like you see a diseased person. You've got the remedy in your hand, and the person is suffering some disease, and you're here, take it. Say, no, I got my own ideas. I'll be okay. You know, but no, you got a deadly disease. You know, that's okay. You know, I'll just ignore it. It's tragic. You see how someone who is in that position of having the cure and having experienced it feels the urgency to preach or urgency to give out this gift. So that's Prabhupada's first statement here. The first opportunity is the human form of life. Second opportunity to take is a birth in a family of devotees. That's rare, you know. But the greatest opportunity is association with a saint, with a devotee. And why is that? Because by the mercy of the saint, along with the mercy of Krishna, you get the seed of bhakti. You know, I don't know if they teach this anymore, this person they call Johnny Appleseed. You ever hear of him?
I've heard about Johnny.
You know Johnny Appleseed.
You've heard about Johnny Appleseed. Yeah, he spread the seeds all over the place.
Yeah, he was a real person. You know, I from childhood, I read about him once. You can find so much out on Googling, Wikipedia. Have you ever looked him up? He was like a sannyasi. He's from Rhode Island or something, you know. And his wife died, and instead of just drinking or something, you know, he took sannyas basically. And he wanted to do good. And so he started wandering around. In the first place, he went upstate New York. Why do you think there's so many apples coming from upstate New York? No, seriously. He's just throwing seeds, apple seeds, everywhere. He realizes, just as in the Bhagavatam you read, one of the standard practices of material piety is planting fruit trees. Just see the gift. You know, season after season, year after year, so much comes from that. So somehow he found out about that, or he thought about that. Maybe that was but he took it real seriously, and he wandered everywhere. Also in the Northwest, Washington apples to this day, yeah. And he's giving the seed. Now, when you're throwing the seeds everywhere, of course, many of them, the vast majority, failed to germinate. You know, but many did. And when you have a tree, it makes more apples. Trees they fall down the seeds. So before you know, you have an apple grove. You know, apple. You know, that's the idea. So that's the Mahabhagavat preacher is just like that. He's throwing the seeds everywhere. You look at Prabhupada's history of his preaching. It started in India. You know, he's going around. He's a spiritual master. So write in English. So he started writing that BTG. He started Jhansi. Even when he was in the household life, you can imagine all, you know, the difficulty of time management, you know, all the stuff he had to do for the business, you know, but he wanted to preach and he did so much, you know, like it. Trying to, and you can see the value. You make one person a devotee, and they can in turn make, you know, 10 more, make 10 more. Before you know it, there's thousands and thousands just from your planting one seed. So this is the vision of the Mahabhagavat. And it doesn't matter. Ultimately, you try your best. You may or may not succeed, but if Krishna wants it to happen, it'll happen. And you see what happened with Prabhupada's movement. And it's still happening. The sincere devotees are meeting other people and giving them a book, inviting them to the temple, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, and before long, you know, a certain percentage, maybe a small percentage, but a certain percentage become full-time devotees, and they become preachers. And that's how the movement will grow, and that's how it'll take over the world. So, and what are you actually doing? You're giving the association of the pure devotee. This is why the book distribution is so important. Even if you're, you know, spaced out bhakta, whatever you may be, if you give out a book to someone and they take the book and they read the book, even a little bit of it, you know, the seed is planted And one day that seed will fructify and the people will be chanting Hare Krishna, and it'll become serious. So why? Because in that book, it's Prabhupada, in his most important form, words. The words, Vapu and Vani. We first learned that duality in 1977, when Prabhupada knew that the time was coming, he was going to depart. And there's a purport in the fourth canto. That was 1974. He was writing that, and he was describing the difference between Vapu and Vani, and the more importance of Vani. Vapu means the body, the personal association of the spiritual master. That's invaluable. As much of that as you can get, try to get it. No question about it. Because along with the Vapu comes the Vani. So you get Vapu and Vani together. But ultimately the Vapu is ephemeral. It's temporary. But still the Vani goes on in the form of the books, the recordings, and that's going on. And the songs, Prabhupada's unique purity coming through in his singing. So the greatest opportunity is to have the association of a saintly person. So Devahuti had that association, but she was about to lose it because Kardamuni was taking off. And she was lamenting that they'd misused it. They just, they spent so much time in what she now regards as sense gratification. So now she's saying, you have to give me the greatest gift, which is liberation. And that's in the form of the child who will then instruct her, as Kapila Deva, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by that instruction, she will get liberation. Of course, overall, she's already, a wonderful Vaishnava. There's no question. But she's teaching us how we should lament, that we've wasted so much time. Now I don't want to waste any more time. Now take advantage of all of the gifts that have been given in the form of association, the holy name, and everything else, and try as hard as I can, as fast as I can, to make advancement, because we do not know how long we have in this body. I mean, it's socio-political, economic, there's so many disasters threatening, ecological. I mean, we don't know how much time we have. We have to become pure devotees today. Get serious about the chanting beyond, no more offenses. So then the idea that materialism is cheating. So the whole, Maya has a thankless task, and that is to bewilder us, to convince us that somehow we can enjoy here and we can control. And when we become convinced, and that's why we're here, the vast majority of people, we become very serious about that. That's the most important thing. And whatever station in life we may be, we try to, exploit the material world as we can in order to make do. Sometimes, the few, the 1,000% of the upper crust are successful in making millions of dollars, billions of dollars. They were saying that Bill Gates will be the first trillionaire. Who needs all that, But I mean, what an entanglement that is. Huge entanglement. To have all that money, of course, devotees saying, if I had so much money, I would, build so many temples, build Mayapur, Maybe we would, maybe we wouldn't. But the point is that it's a lie. And people believe that. And that's the illusion that has to be cured. And the problem is that you get conditioned. The mind, the senses, the intelligence gets used to thinking in a certain way and acting in a certain way. And you seem to have reinforcement of that from your experience. Well, I'm enjoying now. I'm enjoying like anything. I've got it made. I've got my wife, I've got my girlfriend, whatever it is, I've got beers in the fridge, What's the problem? Well, that's what the books are for. To try to open your eyes that this is all very temporary and very ephemeral. Forget about old age. Just if you lose your job, suddenly, the anxiety overtakes you, or some crazy guy gets elected president. The whole world is in anxiety now. No one can be peaceful in their illusion. Maybe this is a blessing, that everyone is going to feel the need for some solace. Yeah, let's go to the Hare Krishna temple, chant Hare Krishna, and get some relief from anxiety. But the point is that can happen at any time. The threefold miseries. your own body and mind. It's such a tottering platform. You know, this morning I'm chanting japa. Suddenly I'm feeling this pain in my side. I don't know where it's coming from. What is that? You know, it's like a stabbing pain. All right, it went away. You know, I mean, these things come and they go. You know, but sometimes, but after a certain point, they don't go away anymore when you get older. Suddenly you have to reconcile yourself. Oh, I got this disease. It's not going away. You know, this could kill me. All right, you have all kind of strategies to allay it. You know, postpone it. You know, but that's all illusory. That's just we want the cure of the material disease entirely, not a material disease, the material disease. And that cure is only in transferring our attention, our worship, from this stool-ridden body and its extensions to Krishna. And that requires training. That's what it means to take advantage of the good opportunity, to take advantage of this human life. So material energy now ultimately is a servant of Krishna. So just as this body, we're reading in the evening, the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. One should elevate himself by the mind, not degrade himself. Right? The mind can be the best friend or the worst enemy. That mind which is uncontrolled, in other words, absorbed in all the senses, is your worst enemy. But that mind which is fixed on the Supreme is your great friend. Right? So how do we turn this mind? I mean, we all have a mind. You can't abandon it. Wherever you go, your mind's going with you. So we have to have some means of purifying the mind, purifying the consciousness, of turning it from matter to spirit. And lo and behold, that's Krishna consciousness, beginning with chanting the holy name. I remember before I was I don't think I even met the devotees yet. I got the Hare Krishna mantra from another group, believe it or not. And it was all about just, fixing the mind. There was no prayer involved. It was just fixing the mind. And the object of my fixing my mind, and fortunately I was following the 4 regs just, by circumstance, living alone, vegetarian, a lot of raw food. I was trying to get healthy, and I had a job, so I had my own little place, little bhajan kutir. And so I would do my exercise and do this, and then the last thing was 15 minutes of meditation before I got dressed and went to work. So I was doing the meditation, and I was just meditating on Hare Krishna mantra. I had invented my own little system of because we're doing all this pranayama. So on the in breath, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. On the out breath, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. I had very little understanding of devotional service or anything like that. I may have had a picture of Krishna on the wall. And it was basically just technical meditation, And I didn't have too many distractions, so I was able to concentrate a little bit. And I was visualizing the name written out, was my whole thing. And just when I had those few moments of absorption, of somewhat good concentration, I can't say I got some, any meditation, but at least concentration on that mantra. I felt this upliftment. I felt really like transcending the body. It was like amazing. And so I tried to keep chanting that mantra during the day, And this is what, got me going, interested in Krishna consciousness. But the point is just somehow or other, if you can focus the mind on Krishna, then it doesn't matter whether you understand how the medicine is working. It will work. It will have its effect and purify your mind and at least make you interested in the philosophy or something, bring you closer. Krishna's bringing you closer that way. So that's what we have to try to do for ourselves, is to fix the mind on the holy name. I mean, it's the japa and kirtan. Take advantage of as much kirtan as we have. We have a real drought of Hare Krishna kirtan compared to the old days. It's just the way things have developed now. But whenever there is a chance for chanting, take advantage of it, and absorb yourself as far as possible in the holy name. Everything flows from that. Then the books become so interesting, and everything becomes, your enthusiasm to serve is increased. This is how it works. So, but people, they're focused on Kali or Durga or just the material energy in general, so they're being cheated. Material achievement is actually no achievement at all, because as soon as one is illusioned by material gifts, he becomes more and more entangled. This is the bondage that we've experienced from millions and millions of births, is that you spend your life from, the mind is through the senses is scanning. Where is there something to enjoy, or when there's some danger, where is there safety? All on that calculation. And you get habituated to that. And you grow up in a certain culture, and it happens in a certain language, in a certain family, and your parents, and your wife, and your children, and everything. These are all agents of attachment, material attachment. And it's just like Prahlad Maharaj. Read Prahlad, his instructions to his classmates. Very wonderful. I forget the Sanskrit now, but he's describing a materialistic householder. How can he possibly escape? He's just like a silkworm that weaves his own cocoon, right? And thinks he's very safe in there. And so the cocoon consists of, the sweet words of the wife, and then the man has the daughter who's always thinking of when she's married and she's in someone else's home, and all of these things. Just like a silkworm, he's wrapped up. And you know what happens with the silkworm? At a certain point, they boil it. Yeah. The karmi, ordinary silk manufacturers, they kill the worm and then they unravel the cocoon. That becomes the silk thread. They weave the thread. Is a whole way of doing it. And that's it. Ultimately, your happy little home in there becomes your tomb. So he's saying, how can you become detached? So he's instructing his classmates, children, don't get involved from early life. Komara achare pragyo dharma bhagavatanita. Even from Komar age, you should practice Bhagavat Dharma. Bhagavat Dharma. So we haven't been able to practice, any of us here, from childhood, but it doesn't matter. It's so powerful. Anytime you take it up, if you're serious, it can work, but you have to be determined. So the idea is that this very thing that Maya has placed before us, this phantasmagoria, the art of bhakti is using those things itself in service of Krishna. And then they become agents of liberation rather than of bondage. And it begins with our own body. We all have these senses, the eyes and the ears and the tongue and everything else. So every one of them, there is an art and a science of how to engage it in devotional service, beginning with the ear, beginning with hearing. So that's, and then if we make a little success and we're able to engage someone who has some means, then we can have a temple. A temple is simply an arrangement in which anybody can walk in and suddenly the senses will be absorbed in Krishna without even trying. You see the deity. You may not know who he is or anything, but that's why the pujaris are so important, the dresses. Even materially, there's beauty there, there's attraction, there's peace, there's something to attract the mind. So in this way, that's the beginning. That can be the beginning of someone's devotion. And the sounds. This is why the cleanliness is so important. It becomes attractive. It uplifts the mind. I remember walking in, the first thing I remember was the incense burning. You said, oh, this is different. And of course, if the temple is really working nicely, then everybody is blissful there, and it's blissful and friendly, and not exploitative, and that itself is a revolutionary feeling. It's such a relief to find someone who's not, out to exploit you, who doesn't have some head trip that they're trying to deal with, who seem like a healthy, peaceful, happy person. I want to be like that. That's the whole idea. I remember a meeting, and of course, I was living as a brahmachari, even though I didn't know what it was doing. And in those days, there were a lot of ladies who were, and many were married, but they looked like goddesses, and that was something that frankly it brings you back, even though unconsciously, that's something we're not having here. But the point is that that's an aspect of the all attractiveness of Krishna. Through the personalities of those who are practicing, that was Prabhupada's, great strength. His own person attracted so many. Just because he was obviously sold out and working so hard, even in his old age, for us. And so naturally, and you could see he himself, even in spite of all the struggle and everything, he was blissful and on a different plane. And people wanted to serve him, wanted to please him, wanted to be like him. So that principle acts on all levels. So, I'll stop there. Let me read the translation. My Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Lord. For in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. So this is the mood of a sadhaka, wanting some mercy, and she'll get the greatest mercy with Kapila Dev. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu.
So I've heard many times that when one obtains city powers, they become bewildered. Is that always the case? Because in the case of Cardamom Muni,
No, it's not always the case. It's the case when, especially the case when there's no bhakti there, because it's really a scientific process. You know, this manipulation of the airs and the whole thing. There's tremendous powers in the human body that the Westerns don't even understand. So these siddhis can be used for evil, just like all those demons Krishna kills. They're all yogis, you know, shape changers, you know, and they all have these mystic powers. But just like any other power, you know, it can be used for good or evil. So those cities, as here, you know, Cardamom wasn't using it for anything evil. Ultimately, it was all, you know, auspicious, and Kapila Dev appeared. But you can see how they can become, you can get sidetracked with that. That's why, you know, the form of yoga, which is meditation on the super soul, is so dangerous, because you can't reciprocate loving exchange with the super soul like you can with Krishna, original Krishna. And so, even though you're meditating on God in that form in the heart, the acquirement of the siddhis can easily deviate you and take your mind away, so that you start empowering those siddhis. Imagine, you know, just being able to fly to all these different planets. I once met he was a guest. He wasn't a devotee, but he was a bhakta actually, and he had some experience where he thought it was astral travel, you know, and he was always trying to get back to that state, travel astrally. Who wants to travel astrally? Believe it or not, and this is as Maharaj would say, a sidelight. The CIA spent years trying to train people in psychic powers to do the astral travel so they could go and spy on Russia just by sending these people. I swear to God, they spent millions of dollars on it. Talk about the corruption of, you know, esoteric transcendental science. Yeah.
and also in the purport, it was talking about Kali worship. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand, is demigod worship the same as atheism? Or is demigod
No, it's not the same as atheism. They believe certainly in the gods, and they may even believe in Vishnu. But you can imagine the material mindset, all right? You haven't had the blessing of the association of a pure devotee. You just know about Vishnu, and you know that one of his names is Hari, right? And it's Ted that'll take everything away. And you see, there's the Vaishnava sannyasis. They're very poor. You know, they've got loincloth, they're skinny. You know, well, I don't want to be like that. I want to prosper. You know, so I'm not going to worship Vishnu. Prabhupada talks like, I don't want to worship because he's Hari. He's going to take everything away. I'm going to get down with Kali, Ganesh. Ganesh is good. Success in business. You know, there's all of these things. Lakshmi, certainly. You know, they worship Lakshmi. They don't worship Lakshmi Narayan. They worship